वर्ड अभी रखने की जरूरत। इसमें कोई कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वायलेशन कहीं पे भी नहीं है। जो भी आर्टिकल्स मेंशन किए गए हैं उसका कोई भी कहीं पे भी उसका ऑपोजिशन या कुछ किया नहीं है। वन ऑफ देम इज Article 348(1) has been mentioned, which says about the authoritative text. That is definitely in English, it is there. And also the bill is, it's been mentioned about Article 120, but that also there is no violation about it. And the official language act also, it is in accordance with it. So there is no point of constitution, but there might be a feeling that something has been imposed. And I also am a very proud Telugu person. I speak Telugu language, I write Telugu language, and I am proud of my culture and my upbringing. So you might be questioning, you are a Telugu person, how can you allow this kind of this thing? अरे हमारे तेलुगु में भी भारत तो भारत ही बोलते हैं. वायु is also a Telugu word. So Bharatiya Vayu and Videk becomes half Telugu for me also. So it is a mixture of all the languages here. It is like everyone coming together, we want to this thing. With the colonialization, there has been a small cocoon that has been developed. And it is, let me reply, sir, I have carefully listened to each and every one. No matter what the allegation is, whatever the suggestion is, I have listened to each and every one, and I'll address the chair. So when this whole colonialization happened, we were created like a cocoon. Now, under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, we want to break that cocoon and bring the butterfly out and show the colors of true India, and that is what we are doing here. And this name is a small indication towards it. The text is there in English, so there shouldn't be any problem for any English-speaking person to in fact get afraid that there are 3 words here. कभी तो अभी लगेगा कि कॉपरनिकस लेन है यहाँ पे, किसी के गली में अटकता है तो बदल दे क्या उसको? कॉपरनिकस लेन तो है ही. And my name is Kinjarapu Ram Mohan Naidu. And when some people say Kinjarapu, there might be some problem with them. They can't pronounce it the way I pronounce it. But that doesn't mean that I'll change my name so that it becomes easier for them. ये तो मेरी पहचान है. और उसी तरह अभी शायद ये 2 बार बोलने से 3 बार बोलने से थोड़ा मुश्किल होता होगा. But India has gotten used to so many things, sir. I think they will get used to this one also. Bharatiya Vayu and Videk is just to create the identity of the languages. On top of that I've seen, you are mentioning about other languages also. I was not understanding why Hindi was brought in. Vayan is also a Sanskrit word, in fact. And if you really want to appreciate the languages, the culture of this country, I would like the opposition to also appreciate that on 3rd October of this year, the cabinet has made 5 languages as classical languages, which are Marathi, Assamese, Bengali, Pali, and Prakrit. If you really love the languages, you should appreciate the decision of the government and how much this NDA government protects and promotes the languages of India. We recently celebrated the Constitution Day also, and on that day, we have proudly released the Constitution not only in English and Hindi, but we have done it in Sanskrit and Maithili also. So you see that there is a whole conscious effort that all the languages should be given their importance, all the languages should be protected, and all the languages should be promoted. I think this is one point that I wanted to make regarding the language debate that has been going on, sir. And on top of that, Udan, I have already given the numbers during my opening speech also on how the numbers have doubled, in fact, from 2014 to 2044. Now we have gone through the numbers. We have seen all the airports coming up. We have seen the lot of passenger traffic being increased. Sometimes when we go through it, when it becomes a normality, we kind of feel that it is just a regular thing that has been happening. But if you have to compare it with the other developing countries or developed countries, then you would see that how doubling a number in 10 years is very, very difficult, sir. And that is something which has been a challenge for India also. And that challenge has been successfully addressed, and we have doubled the number of airports, doubled the number of passenger traffic that we have, and doubled the number of aircraft fleet. But for us, I can proudly say, under the leadership of Modi ji, aviation is not just looked upon as how many. I also agree to a certain point that it's not about just the numbers. Numbers I'm giving to show you a picture on how much progress we have made. But if you look at the true sense on why we want to promote aviation, why we want to make it one of the best sectors in the country, in the whole world, because when we talk about aviation, we talk about tourism. When we talk about aviation, we talk about economic activity. When we talk about aviation, we talk about real estate growth. We talk about job creation. When we talk about aviation, we talk about industry. When we talk about aviation, we talk about commerce, we talk about trade. And we talk about aviation, we talk about culture. And when we talk about aviation, we talk about agriculture also. And that is why aviation is a very important nodal sector that needs to be given that push. And with this idea, I'll get some water, sir.
Please.
And it is with this idea that the whole aviation sector has been thoroughly, deeply understood on what the true potential India can have. And we have seen that there are multiple gaps also. Now 90,000 crores capex has been put into the infrastructure to create the infrastructure in airport infrastructure. But creating infrastructure, that itself is one challenge. And when I took the charge as a minister for this aviation, sir, I have promised the people of this country that, ma'am, thank you. Thank you. She has always been so caring, sir. Like a mother, always. Thank you, ma'am. So, when we look deep, it is not about just creating the infrastructure, but it is about connecting them also. Now, you can spend a lot of money, you can create the infrastructure, you can create more airports, but the ultimate challenge, thank you, the ultimate challenge is how do you connect? And that is where, bringing in all the aspects of the government, we created the UDAN scheme, which is Uday Desh Ka Aam Nagrik. Through the UDAN scheme, the challenge of these airlines, because it is a market-driven industry, where they feel there might be a non-viability in running a route, the government has taken the responsibility a little bit on himself, and it has said that why don't we provide the viability gap funding? It was the first time that it has been done at such a large scale. And through the UDAN scheme, now we have started 609 routes in the country in just 8 years span of time. Nowhere in the world you would have seen such a scheme, which has been run by the government itself, so that the non-viable routes, the airlines can come and start the routes and facilitating the routes. And we have operationalized 86 airports under UDAN. And out of these 86 airports, 20 were underserved, but 66 airports were totally unserved. What I mean by unserved is that not a single flight was going to these airports. But that was a challenge the government has taken up. Now we have constructed the airports, but we have to start the airline connectivity also. And through the UDAN scheme, we have given the viability gap funding, and we were able to run all these airports. We were giving them those connections, which was very, very required for the people of that state or of that region or of the airport. And we have operationalized 86. And we can proudly say that UDAN has been a real success story of the Indian aviation, which are showcasing to the whole world under the leadership of Narendra Modi ji. And why I say the whole world, sir? In fact, in September, we have had one conference also, Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference, where 41 countries were participating, and there were stakeholders from aviation across the globe also who were participating. And 29 countries have sent in the best of the people who represent aviation from their countries. And I have heard all of them speak in that conference, and they have proudly said, the real thing that we can pick up from India today is how it has improved the domestic connectivity within the country, and how it has launched the RCS UDAN scheme so that it could facilitate the regional aviation in a very big way. Because for them, most of the countries, sir, for them, the aviation becomes more of an international affair. How do you connect your country better to another country? But a lot of them couldn't crack the challenge of internal connectivity. But now with this UDAN scheme, we are showcasing it to the world that a little push, a little commitment from the government, you can create wonders, and that is what we have done through the UDAN scheme. And now through the UDAN scheme, we have kind of addressed the accessibility. Now the other thing that I've mentioned after taking charge as a minister was that I want to bring in affordability also. And I understand all the concerns that each and every member has raised regarding the airfares. I'm also a citizen of this country, and I was also a member, and before member, I was also a passenger. So I know one of the challenges that the people of this country face when they're traveling, and I understand the true spirit in which people would have spoken about the airfares also. But you have to understand that airfares regulation is, this debate has been there for quite some time, sir, and internationally also the process that they follow is they keep the aviation air ticket mechanism as a very deregulated sector, because that is how the whole sector moves forward. That is how there is a win-win situation for everyone. The market plays its game, and everyone gets facilitated in the process, and this is an international procedure. Nowhere in the world, any country has been regulating the air prices and seeing a progress in aviation. Everyone has a very deregularized sector only. And in fact, in our country also, at one point of time, there was a regulation on the airfares through the Air Corporations Act. Now, when was this Air Corporations Act taken out? It was in the year 1994 that the then government, that the then leaders thought, if the aviation needs a real push, then we have to deregulate, and that is when the deregulation happened in 1994. The Air Corporations Act was taken away, in which it was mentioned that air caps need to be capped. So after that, it has been a free market. It has been a market with a dynamic airfare mechanism happening. And now, if you see, I have another report also, because many reports have mentioned, and we have done. I have also been thoroughly studying on the airfare mechanism. And we within the ministry, I would like to tell the whole House and the people of this country that from the ministry, we also monitor the prices. We have a tariff monitoring unit under our DGCA, which thoroughly looks after each and every fare that is happening in the country. And there is a liability on the airlines also before they decide on a price for a certain route or for a certain sector. They have to send it to us in the DGCA. Now, there was a circular before in 2010 when this price mechanism had to be sent to the ministry, and they were given a 1 month time period. That if for the next month, what are you going to charge? On the first day of this month, you have to tell the ministry itself that how much you are going to charge for, okay, so many seats in this bucket, so many seats in this bucket. It is a mechanism that they follow. But in that very circular, which was released in 2010, there was also a condition saying that within 24 hours, you can change the prices again. That seemed to be a little bit favoring to the airlines or favoring to dynamically change at a much faster pace. Now, we in this government, we are committed to bring the affordability factor. Now, we wanted to see how best we can do. So we are removing that clause. We are just keeping it for 1 month. So whatever fare is there, within 1 month, they have to address it to us. And we feel this kind of mechanism is going to address a little bit about the irregularities that we see in the airfares. Now, airfares, many of the members have spoken. And also one other thing I have to mention is that when the airfares, the biggest chunk of the airfare goes to the fuel price. And for the fuel price, I don't know how many people know or not, but these are the fuel prices, the taxes on that. The VAT on the fuel price is being decided by the states itself. And we, from the ministry, proactively trying to address this air price issue, we have constantly written to all the states, and some states have obliged. Some states realize that even if we reduce the VAT, some have done it to the 1% also, and they've kept it below 4%. And when they have done this, it is ultimately going to, even if they lose a little bit of revenue from this taxing, they're ultimately going to promote the aviation. So it is going to be a win-win situation, and a lot of people done. But West Bengal, Delhi, these are states, Tamil Nadu, these are states which carry very high VAT percentage. So people from these states who would have raised about this air prices issue, I would once again make a very proactive approach to all of you that you speak to the state governments there. And if you can get the VAT reduced in that, that is going to reduce the price, because 45% of the price of the ticket is because of the fuel prices. So if you cut down on the VAT there, then definitely it is going to bring down the prices furthermore. So that is one request that I would want to make to all the MPs who represent the states, and they could speak to the state governments. And like I've said, the tariff monitoring unit is there. One key observation that we have found about this 24 hours, we want to change. We want